We are in Nashville, Tennessee at the K-Love Awards, joined by Kari Jobe, nominated for Female Artist of the Year. Kari, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, of course.
Female Artist of the Year, that's exciting.
Yes.
That's huge. That's not your first nomination, though. You've been nominated for a Grammy, 3 Dove Awards, 2 of which you won. What led you to want to pursue this path of music?
I have been doing music since I was a little bitty girl. My parents were in ministry when I was young, and so it's kind of all I ever knew was ministry and people and church, but I loved it. And I know when I was about 10 or 11, I got really impacted by the presence of God through music, of realizing there's an exchange that happens when we worship and declare who God is. A shift happens in the atmosphere surrounding our lives, and it does something to encourage our spirit. And so I just knew I wanted to do music, and that I wanted to be able to do it where it could be anointed, you know, and invite the presence of God when I do it and watch God do stuff. So I just always wanted to do that since I was little.
Well, you knew the Lord. You accepted Christ when you were 5 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So that's always kind of been your background and a part of your life. And did you ever have this drive or ambition to go into mainstream music, or did you always want to do Christian music?
I've always wanted to do Christian music, and if God ever opens that door, of course I'd walk through it, because I'm a big believer in just walking, you know, if God opens something, you can tell when it's God. And so, but I've never pursued that or gone after that or really dreamt of doing it that way, just because I really love to minister to people, and I love church people. I love broken people who need God even in church, who've been raised in church their whole lives but still need healing and ministry and to know the message of the cross. And so you'd be surprised to know how many people even go to church that don't fully understand grace and mercy. So
you have such a passion for the church, and you just released your album Majestic, and it's live, right?
It is
live recorded. And so tell me a little bit about that and the background behind it.
I mean, being raised in church, I've always been loving worship leading, and I wanted to do an album that just kind of captured what I do on the road and what I do in a live night of worship, and not just in the studio, because those are kind of two different worlds. And I just kind of wanted to do what a night would look like if you came to a night of worship with me, but I wanted to do new songs, so it was kind of tricky because no one knew all the songs, you know. And to sing along, you kind of have to know the songs.
Right.
So it was a little tricky.
You can pass out your lyrics.
We did kind of try to get the people to know the songs a little bit before we recorded, but it worked out. Everybody was just so excited and ready to learn the songs and ready to do it. And it was a special, special night. And I'm just glad. I feel like I've finally kind of hit my stride of what I feel like is me. It's an album that is fully me. Yeah. I love that.
We talk about you being a worship leader at your church, and then going on tour and singing on these huge stages in front of, you know, thousands and thousands of people. How are you able to stay humble in all of that, you know, when you have people, in a sense, kind of like praising you and praising your music?
Right. It's kind of that whole Christian celebrity thing that we're kind of facing in our generation right now, which I think is hard. It's difficult because it's like, wait, God's done this through me. I've written stuff out of my own pain and my own story, and I love to sing that to the Lord and watch what God does in my life. So for it to impact someone else is really just a huge honor, but it becomes a responsibility, because I have people that I look up to, I guess you could say I'm a fan of, because
Who are those people?
Oh man, a lot of worship people that some are good friends now, but like Bethel and Jesus Culture and Hillsong, and that I'm a fan of what they're doing because I love it and it impacts me. And so I think people can become more consumed with the person though than just what God's done through that person. You know, I like it when people come up to me and they'll say, I know it's not you. I know God's done this through your life, but I honor you and thank you for what you've done to be obedient to God and to do what God's called you to. And I love that. I love when they put it that way, you know, because it's just so, it's exactly what's happening, is I didn't set out to be famous, you know. I set out to do what I felt was in my heart, and it's impacting people's lives, and that's an honor for me.
Tell me about the first time that you heard your song on the radio. I imagine that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was, because I grew up listening to Christian radio, and I was alone, And I was like screaming in the car, like, thinking like, I don't have anyone here to celebrate this.
Nobody to celebrate
no
with.
One's here.
God was celebrating with you.
True, yeah. I think I called my mom immediately. It was like, Mom, listen. You know, she's like, I can't hear. What is that? You know. So it's cool and it's exciting when people celebrate what God's doing as well.
Yeah. What do your fans mean to you? I mean, because you have quite a lot of fans. You are this role model to so many young girls. What do they mean to you?
A lot. It's a privilege and an honor. It's a responsibility too. You know, when you say role model, it's like, ooh, that's a weighty thing. And my thing is just being myself, you know, and being true to who I am and to just be like very faithful to share my story. Because I think you go through hard things, and if you kept it to yourself, it's not going to impact anybody. But if you go through things and you explain what God's done and you share that kind of stuff, I think it helps other people. So honestly, I don't know if they follow me because I'm quirky or I share that I've like fallen down the stairs and they should have been there to notice it, or
your honesty. I love that. That's great.
It's fun. It's fun to just that people care to laugh with you and laugh at you, and it's fun for me to have fans and to share life with them and that they care to know.
Being in the public eye, I imagine, especially in this world where social media is just huge, that's got to be difficult. I mean, because you have people who, I guess you could say, are haters and say negative things about you. And so many people are struggling with that, with bullying. How are you able to kind of handle that and cope with that?
You just block them on social media. I'm just kidding. It's not that, like, I don't block everybody. But, you know, when they say things that you're like, oh, well, that wasn't very life-giving. I try to just not let it get to me, even though words are just powerful. So I hate how people will use social media to say things that they think won't have weight to them, because they do have weight to them. So I just have to be careful how much I read comments, how much I let that get to me. And, you know, I'll read something sometimes and my husband's like, why don't we just put that down?
Just don't look at it.
Just don't even look at that. That's not the truth. And, the enemy will use anything that he can to get at us, and he'll use just some stupid, crude comment that someone makes, you know. It's social media can be fun, but it can be dangerous to be impacted by what people are saying so much that, you know, it affects your mood and it affects your day. But it can.
Well, speaking of your husband, you guys just recently got married, so
Yes.
Congratulations
Thank
are
you.
in order. How has that been? How's married life?
Amazing. I love married life. It's just sweet to wait. I waited for a while for the man God had for me, thankfully, and it's so worth the wait. And I would hear people say that, and I'd be like, please go away.
Yeah.
Just stop talking.
Just go away, because I just want to be married right now.
Yeah, but it's true. And especially doing ministry and marrying a man of God and someone who loves doing life with me and feels called to the same things, it's important to marry somebody that's passionate about similar things you're passionate about. You might not do the same things together all the time like we do, but to be passionate about it, it means a lot. And so I love it.
Well, you're glowing. They say that
I
the
get it.
first year of marriage is the hardest. Have there been any trials that you guys have had to overcome?
Not too bad. I did call the police once on him
No.
on accident.
What did he do?
He didn't know that I called the police.
Oh, no.
He wasn't there, and I got scared.
Okay, so you were calling for him, not on him.
He had left a note on my door, and I thought it was a scary situation, but he had left it, and I called the police.
Supposed to be sweet.
I say I called the police on him, but it really wasn't on him. He just scared me on accident, and I got scared and called the police.
I don't blame you. I probably would have done the same thing. That's funny. Tell me a little bit about the inspiration behind your songs.
Okay, songwriting for me is I can't just sit down and like write a song in like 4 hours. I have to feel it and then write about it and then feel it again and then sing about it and then write about it. And it's a process for me. But I'm glad because someone told me one time, when you have an encounter with God and you write a song out of that encounter, every time they hear that song or sing that song, you invite them into that same encounter that you've had. And encounters with God take time. You know, some of them are quick, and God speaks something and you've had this encounter. But most encounters we have with God are a season of what God's been doing and saying. And so I try to write just from, you know, what God's saying, themes that he's doing in my life. And just at the end of it all, I really want it to just impact people the way God's impacted me.
So what's up next for you? What do we have to look forward to?
I am doing a Majestic Revisited project. So it'll be all the Majestic songs and just a little kind of new spin on them. So that'll be exciting. And we're just touring. We're doing a lot of touring this summer. We're doing the Outcry tour with Hillsong and Bethel and Passion and a bunch of other friends. So just lots of fun things happening.